Alright guys, pop quiz. What is an Ateca? Is it A, a small town in Spain, B, an endangered species of bird, or C, a medium SUV? If you answered A or C, congratulations, you are correct. If you answered B, you are incorrect and you are no longer welcome here. Please leave. Great, now that they're gone and there's only smart people left, let's talk about the 2022 Cupra Ateca. The Ateca is one of only 3 models currently sold in Australia by Spanish performance brand Cupra, along with the Leon small hatchback and Formentor hot SUV. It launched in 2016 as Cupra's first attempt at an SUV, and it made its way to Australia in facelifted form in 2022. It's available locally in a single trim grade, the VZx, and today I'm going to get to know this sultry Spaniard. Before I tell you all my deepest, darkest thoughts about this car, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel for more new car content. The Ateca starts at $60,990 plus on-road costs or $65,990 drive away, making it the Cupra model with the most expensive starting point. For your spend, you'll get a raft of standard equipment, including a 9-speaker Beat sound system, heated leather seats, 19-inch alloy wheels, dual-zone climate control, and keyless entry. You'll also get all-wheel drive capabilities plus a gutsy 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that can output an impressive 221 kilowatts and 400 newton meters and sprint to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.9 seconds, making it about as quick as the Golf R wagon. If you're interested in Cupra cars, you might have noticed that you can actually get a top-spec Formentor for much the same price as the Ateca, and it offers marginally more performance. That personally had me asking the question, well, why would you buy an Ateca over a Formentor given they're similarly priced and similarly sized? The answer to that seems to be that this is a bit more of a have your cake and eat it too moment, in that there's performance but a bit more practicality and far more interior room than in the Formentor. As for other competitors, I'll be honest, I struggle to find key rivals for the Ateca outside the Volkswagen Group stable. The most obvious choice is the performance-focused Volkswagen Tiguan R, which starts at almost $70,000 plus on-road costs and offers more power. There's also the Skoda Karoq, upon which the Ateca is based, which offers a more affordable top-spec variant for just under $50,000 drive away, but is less powerful than the Ateca. To my mind, although it does have those Brembo brakes and quad exhaust system, plus the funky copper accents and cool logo, if you squint, this car bears a striking resemblance to some of its VW and Skoda siblings. That's not necessarily a bad thing though, because I tend to think those cars are really attractive, and the Cupra just adds a little bit more X factor over and above what's already an appealing package. All Cupra cars come with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and if you buy this before the 31st of December 2022, you'll also get 3 years of free servicing thrown in as well. An additional 2 years of servicing can then be purchased for an extra $1,200. Now, anyone who's owned an Audi, Skoda or Volkswagen car might find the interior of the Cupra Ateca a little bit familiar, and that's because, for those who don't know, the Volkswagen Group owns the Cupra brand and it also owns Skoda, Volkswagen and Audi as well. So this car does share some key components with its brand siblings. Other than that, the most noteworthy thing I think in this cabin are these sports seats. They're finished as standard in a petrol blue leather upholstery, which really has impact, although it does clash a little bit with the black in the cabin if you ask me, although I do like the color. And they're nice and supportive and firm but soft, and they've also got this bolstering, which I will say is comfortable for me, but wider drivers might find it on the narrow side. There's also a heated leather wrapped steering wheel as well, which feels fantastic. But other than that, I will say I was a little bit disappointed with this cabin. I thought it'd have a bit more visual impact. I love the copper accents and some of the air vents here and on the steering wheel. That's a point of difference. But other than that, it's a sort of nice, basic, well-presented, comfortable cabin, but not really much more than that. Now you've got some more petrol blue leather upholstery here in the doors, which is a nice touch, and you've got some deep door bins. You've got a smaller central glove box that does go a fair way down. There's a wireless charger here that can double as storage for your keys, and you've got 2 cup holders as well, and the smaller one is perfectly sized for a takeaway coffee cup. I've got plenty of headroom in the driver's position. This car has great headroom throughout actually, and while the bolstering does sort of make you feel a bit caged in, you do have good elbow room and knee clearance as well, and with the electric adjustment on the driver's seat only, I was able to find my perfect driving position. All of your infotainment is managed out of this 9.2-inch touchscreen, which is actually glitching on me at the moment. It's not letting me swipe, so it's sort of malfunctioning slightly, but there are some controls for climate control in here as well, in case you prefer that, but otherwise you have access to wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, you've also got built-in navigation, and you've got AM and FM radio, but no DAB digital radio, plus some Bluetooth connectivity. So this is actually wigging out on me right now. Live reality check, it's not working so great, but if I try and switch the menu options, well, to be honest, I can't. So there you go. This is what car testing is all about. This has frozen on me, so I might have to turn the car off, restart it, and see if I can get this to work so I can take you through the various menu options. All right, we're back. We've restarted the car, opened the doors. My Apple CarPlay has wirelessly connected really effortlessly, so that's 10 points for that. Now, if I try and swipe, we're back. So you can see you've got some climate controls there, you've got your car settings there as well. In here is where you access some driver assist functions, and for me, this screen is not that intuitive. I don't really know what I'm looking at here. I don't really know where to click. It sort of allows you to activate things based on where they're sort of located in the car. But again, this sort of isn't that intuitive to use. I kind of want to swipe across, but it only lets me swipe across down here. Now, if I want to go back to the home screen, I can look at it in this view, which has your navigation there, your CarPlay there, and your Bluetooth audio there, or I can put it into this grid view, which I tend to prefer. And you've got your CarPlay here. That's been working really well, and to be honest, that's how I tend to use my cars. I tend to use mostly Apple CarPlay rather than the built-in infotainment system. But if I were to rely on that system, as you saw before, it is a little bit glitchy and slow to respond. Plus, I feel like this screen is on the small side, and as I mentioned, it's not that intuitive in terms of how to get around and how to swipe and what menu options there are. So I will say that it's functional, serves a purpose. If you're using CarPlay or Android Auto, you'll be probably more than satisfied, but otherwise it's not really a standout in its class. One thing I love about this car, and any car that is equipped with this feature, is the 360-degree camera. So you've got your standard reverse view here, but you've also got your overhead bird's eye view, which is just so helpful when you're getting into a car space. You can toggle up that view too, so you can see sort of if you're parking, get more precision there. You've got a really zoomed view of the rear as well. And if you're so inclined, you can also access 3D view by hitting this button here. So you get a really warped sense of what's around you, but handy if you need it and if you want to just sort of contextualize the car within its surroundings. Now up here you've got a 10.25-inch digital driver display, which to my mind is a lot more impressive than the infotainment screen, and it's also really configurable as well. So you've got a few different view options. You've got this one that incorporates your sat nav and a few other menu options. You've got this one that's a little bit more basic and minimalist. You've got this one that is a little bit more sporty as well. And my one complaint with this is that no matter what view you're in, the digital speedometer is on the small side. So in a car like this that's focused on performance, I really like to know what speed I'm going, and I love a digital speedo, and in this it's sort of minimized and put in the corner as an afterthought, and I would love for there to be a view option that's really impactful with a nice big digital speedo in the middle. Otherwise, you've got access to lots of key info up here as well. So you've got your CarPlay, your phone controls, you've got your vehicle status with time pressure monitoring system. There's a lap timer as well if you're so inclined. I'm not going to be using that on the daycare pickup run, but oh well. Got live fuel consumption as well, and you've also got your active cruise control info. So it works really nicely in tandem with the steering wheel controls, which can control your music and your audio and telephone calls, and as well as your active cruise control. Now the Cupra has 6 different drive modes, which can be accessed via a dial, via the gear stick, or via a button on the steering wheel. They're Comfort, Sport, Cupra, Individual, Off-Road and Snow. Now I will say that for people who are maybe expecting a little bit of visual difference and impact when they switch drive modes, that doesn't really happen in the Cupra. It's sort of more a very small little word up in the right corner of your digital driver display saying Sport or Comfort or whatever mode you're in. Otherwise, not much changes. So in other cars, for example, you might be used to changing into Sport mode and everything becoming really red and racy and sporty, but in the Cupra Ateca, it's more about what's happening underneath the bonnet. Now, while this car is fitted with the optional Brembo brakes and quad exhaust system at a combined total of an added $10,000, there is one more option available on the Cupra Ateca that this car doesn't have, and that's the panoramic electric sunroof. And I can imagine that if you're willing to spend the extra $1,800, that could really add some oomph to this cabin. This feels like a really roomy back seat for a medium SUV. I've got the driver's seat in my regular driving position. I'm around 178 centimeters tall, and I've got heaps of legroom. The floor of the back seat is nice and low as well, so I feel like I've got plenty of room to move. On top of that, check out this headroom. So much space, so if I were a little bit taller, I would feel pretty comfortable in here as well. There's some good storage options as well, some door bins down here. There's cup holders in this drop-down armrest. You've got some air vents in the center here with some USB-C ports below, some matte pockets as well. And these extra big side windows let in plenty of light and make the area feel really spacious. I've also got my child seat fitted back here because there are ISOFIX points on both of the outboard seats, plus top tether points over the back of the 3 seats here as well. So it's a really well-equipped and spacious, functional back seat. Now, regarding safety, the Cupra Ateca is yet to be rated by Australia's independent assessor NCAP, although it did receive a 5-star rating from the European equivalent NCAP back in 2016. It has got 7 airbags, however, and plenty of active safety features. Standard safety technology includes adaptive cruise control, front assist with pedestrian and cyclist detection, side assist with exit assist, lane assist, travel assist, driver fatigue detection, proactive passenger protection, park assist, front and rear parking sensors, and a top view camera with 360-degree vision. The Ateca's boot is accessible via a hands-free power tailgate, which you can open using the key, a button on the tailgate, or a kick sensor. Allow me to demonstrate. Nailed it. Now back here you have 485 litres of space, which is actually a fair bit more than the Formentor, which has 420 litres. It's also sort of the gold standard for medium SUVs these days, which tend to offer between 450 and 500 litres of boot space. You've also got typically an 18-inch space saver spare wheel under the floor, but this car is fitted with optional Brembo brakes, so that's replaced with a tyre repair kit, and you've also got a subwoofer hidden under here as well. In here there's also some really handy levers to lower the back seat from the boot, plus a removable hard cargo cover and a ski slot to store your skis, or in my case, an extra long baguette. I really like the way the Cupra Ateca handles both around town and at freeway speeds. It feels really agile and nimble going into corners, and the steering has almost a go-karty feel in that this steering wheel feels a little bit smaller with that nice flat bottom, and the steering feel is nice and light, but the response is direct and immediate. It's really quick to get going from a standstill, and that 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission is really nicely executed. I often find that with a dual clutch transmission it can feel a little bit jolty and jumpy at lower speeds, but that's not the case in this car. It moves really smoothly between the gears, and while you do notice those gear changes as they happen, it's a nice seamless transition. Acceleration is really spirited and exciting, but still measured enough to exist nicely around town. So it's not too antisocial or anything like that, and you don't feel like it's jumpy or jolty, and it's still really manageable when you're maneuvering at lower speeds or in stop-start traffic, which is key. Visibility is completely serviceable in this car. I wouldn't say it's expansive, but it just does the job, and there are no noteworthy blind spots, which is all you can ask for. I did notice some lag in the accelerator response when I was putting my foot down to get on a freeway on-ramp, and so I do feel like when you're transitioning between city speeds and freeway speeds, it can be a little bit slow to get up there, but once you really put your foot down, there's enough response there, and of course plenty of power on tap, so you're never going to feel lacking. It just might take a few extra seconds to get you there. There's also an idle stop system to cut down on fuel use, and that incorporates really nicely into the whole package. It's really seamless, and it can feel a little bit rumbly in stop-start traffic, but for the most part, you don't notice it, and that's really all you can ask for. My major gripe with this car is the ride comfort. So it's a harder ride than I expected from a medium SUV, and I do feel like some buyers might be shocked by how much of the road they can feel up to the cabin. Not only that, but you can actually hear the clunking noise as you go over things like speed bumps and potholes. It's quite loud, so it does suit the sporty nature of the car, but if you are someone shopping for a more traditional SUV, you might be a little bit disappointed with the comfort, and you might want to maybe cross-shop a few other cars and just see whether it's something you're willing to live with. Of course, the all-wheel drive capabilities means it's really sure-footed, it's got nice grippy tyres, and you feel really firmly planted even going around corners and at higher speeds in wet weather. It handles everything really nicely, it feels capable, and I felt really safe as well. Okay, so I'm just going to shift it over into sport mode. And maybe it's in my head, but the engine does feel like it gets a little bit louder, and it just really sharpens up that accelerator response. So it makes driving extra fun, and I can definitely see myself using this on longer freeway trips to break up the monotony. Unlike the Formentor and Leon, the Ateca isn't available with a hybrid powertrain. So far this week, my average fuel consumption has been relatively high at 9.5 litres per 100 kilometres, and my driving has skewed mostly urban. Keep in mind too that the Ateca requires petrol with a minimum octane rating of 98, which can cost around an extra 20 cents per litre at the Bowser compared to 91 unleaded. The Cupra Ateca represents an exciting new entrant in the medium SUV space, combining performance with practicality. I'll be honest with you, given it's a crowded segment, it's likely you will be able to find a car that offers maybe lower running costs, more interior space, or even more luxurious finishes than the Ateca, but this car does all of those things well enough to keep up with the pack, and then adds some serious X factor in the form of eye-catching design, potent performance, and exciting handling. In the words of the Spanish, muy caliente, muy caliente.